Hi, my name is Sobia Ameen. I'm an architect, content creator, and a model.
Hi, my name is Aashna Bhagwani. I'm a digital content creator and I create content on inclusive fashion and body image issues.
Do you remember the first modeling opportunity you ever got?
Yeah, I remember, and it was with Adidas, and I was so happy because it was something related to fitness and activewear, and I was so happy to be included in that campaign, and it was a really fun shoot.
I think my first one was probably in Sydney. But it wasn't like a professional one. I still got paid for it. But I think, sadly, it was to show that, they were inclusive in my university and stuff like that. Just basically a brown person.
Was modeling always your career path, or was there something else?
So my career path was like this. I started with architecture, and a lot of people don't know this. I actually did a year of landscape architecture to start
nice.
off. And before that, I wanted to be an artist. But I actually signed up for art school. It was just too daunting for me as a 19-year-old to have moved countries, and the area my art school was in was just not happening. So I was like, okay, I have to go to the main campus. And then I did like a year of landscape architecture only to leave it and do architecture. So, I genuinely thought all my life, that's what I'm going to do, be an architect, till I started working and I was like, nah, maybe I can't do this forever. And then I started baking. And then I got an opportunity from like a designer back home, and she was like, would you like to model for me? And I also realized people really enjoyed how I dressed as an architect, because usually we're known to wear like black and gray and really dull colors, right? And they have to be like always monotoned. But yeah, so I was like dressing in saris, they were colorful. And I think that's how like my influencing started. And honestly, I think from all the career paths I've taken, this has been the most fun.
So for me, I don't have a lot of exposure when it comes to modeling because I am a digital content creator. And I remember I started creating content 8 years back, and we were not even called influencers back then. I was a blogger.
Yeah.
I actually learned HTML and CSS coding and started my own website because I could see that this is something that would grow. I could foresee it.
I cry for you.
But it was fun. I put in so much research and hard work in the initial days. It just wasn't picking up the phone and shooting. I used to actually write articles, and I enjoyed it so much unless it came to a point where I was just redirecting my Instagram or social media audience to the website, and that wasn't happening very naturally. People just wanted quick content. So that's what I started doing. But it was good because I started building a community, building an audience, and I could relate to them.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like you had like a proper background in trying to like actually do this.
Because I was so passionate about it. I wanted to really do something by myself on my own. And I'm glad it all worked out.
Yeah, I'm glad it did. Who was your biggest support when you first started out?
I feel like this is going to make me emotional. It was definitely my grandmother.
Oh.
Yeah, she raised me and she had a boutique. So I shifted schools, and I think I was 13 or 14 when I joined a new school, and I was staying with her, and she had like a proper fashion boutique, and I had such a hard time finding clothes my size because I was always the chubby girl, thick girl, and she used to make clothes for me in her boutique, and every Friday I would sort of, wear a new dress and walk the ramp in my house and have like this full-blown fashion show. And she always gave me so much encouragement. So I think she would definitely be my biggest support.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was definitely my mother, because poor thing would have to wake up with me because I didn't know how to drape a sari at the beginning. My whole goal was like the years I spent abroad, I need to make up for it by just wearing saris. So I feel like as irritated as she was sweet enough to watch YouTube videos and try the new styles.
That's so sweet.
It takes patience, and I have none of that. I feel like I do have patience when I'm working, but when I have to do things on myself, I start losing it. So I love it. Like this career kind of like lets you get time to get someone else to do the stuff. Like that's when I really love it. So yeah, I think she's quite supportive in that way. And in a lot of ways, I feel like the way I dress is so heavily influenced by her and her cultural backgrounds, because she has a very Punjabi vibe to her, but
Right.
also Bengali.
Yeah.
And I think those things I've picked up along the way. And I mean, I didn't notice that it was something that was not as common as I thought was. So yeah.
That's nice. I love how parents have such an influence on us. We don't even realize it, but they do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's the people we spend the most time with.
Yeah, totally. When people label you as a plus size model, do you think that term is problematic?
In a lot of ways, yes, because I'm sure you got this
Yes,
in the beginning.
I did.
There is so much tokenism. Like, it is a scary amount. And I think when I started, that was a very scary thing for me. I only realized very late, not very late in the sense like, it took me at least a year to realize that a lot of these campaigns were just tokenizing me.
Yeah.
And I think that is problematic.
Because you feel like you've been taken advantage of.
A little bit. My point is, in a campaign, if you take me out, will it still look inclusive? You know, that's where I'm coming from. You shouldn't just take me because I'm a plus size girl.
Yeah.
There should be more, like, of everything, not just that. And the first time I think I felt that was probably when I did the campaign with Masaba for Love Child, because I didn't actually know there was a second plus size model there.
Okay.
And Apurva was in that campaign, but because we had like 2 dates to shoot, so I think the first date was us, and that small group obviously had a wide range of people. But I thought it was the first campaign I truly felt like, you know, they weren't just like, oh, we have to have one plus size girl just so that like it looks inclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty rare to find in the industry, because I feel like they take one and they feel that one will represent all of us. Yeah. Even with models on the ramp walk, they always say, oh, this designer is inclusive. But why? We only have one.
Yeah.
If you have so many models from size probably 4 to 10, and then you have one who's probably size 15, size 14, that doesn't mean you represent all of us.
Yeah, and I think maybe it was this year they kind of overdid it with the plus size. I don't know if you noticed. I think they just like put in a bunch of people so that like they weren't getting like backlash.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Maybe that's a good change to start off with,
but I feel like that we still have a long way to go.
There's a long way to go. And I find it so interesting because just recently someone at a party said, oh, I love that you're a plus size model and whatever. And I thought it was so sweet that my friend Param, the designer, he corrected that person and said, no, she's a model and she happens to be plus size.
Yeah.
That's the point of view we should be coming from.
Exactly.
What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in your career?
Initially, I think I gave a lot of attention to sort of the comments, the hate comments, the trolls, and I'm glad with time, you know, I stopped giving that attention, because in my initial years, even though I was talking about body image issues, I felt like I still needed to change. Maybe everyone is not happy, and I think with time, I just gave up with that. I was like, no, I have my audience, you know, and they send me such sweet and supportive messages. I think I just need to stay on track and do what I want to do. But initially trolls, I used to listen to them a lot, but now I don't care. Just delete and block.
I think for me, I honestly don't get really affected by the outside world anymore. I think that's an age thing. I really wish I started this earlier because I would have so much more energy. In my 30s, I totally see like the downslide of energy, which is why I have to have 2 coffees before I show up to a shoot. So I'm just like, yeah, maybe that would have been better. But the truth is, mentally, I would have collapsed.
Yeah.
All these negative comments, I don't let it get to me because I feel like if you feel like putting someone down, there's something
wrong with you.
There is no way someone with a healthy mindset will write that or say that. There are people publicly that will say a lot of things to you, to your face as well, which is a bit more like overwhelming because you're just like, I have to come up with something right now.
Come up with the comeback.
But like, I just feel like, you know, if I got this hate in my 20s, I would have just like, I don't know, I would have gone to like extreme
because
stages of...
when I started, there were not a lot of girls that were talking about this.
Yeah.
And I felt like I got quite a few heated comments those days, like back in the days, but now I don't let it affect me at all.
The joke's on you. We're still getting paid. So, yeah.
Yeah. What is one current fashion trend that you like and one that you hate and why?
I'm not sure. That depends, right? Like, worldwide.
Depends on personal style as well, right? Like,
because I mean, I don't usually go with things that are trending. Yeah. You know what I usually never like, and I think that's like probably a very blanket statement, but I hate like the designers like name and prints where
you find it over the top.
Why do you have to have it like in your face? Is what I think is always going to look a little off for me.
Yeah.
Having said that, I think some look really nice, but I just think
you find it too much on the face.
Sometimes it is. So I just go like, no. But one that I love the clean girl aesthetic, but you know what I hate about it is that we've had that from our childhood.
Yeah.
But it's only approved now because the white girl has approved. Like, you know, the chumpy hair with no makeup.
We had it before.
Yeah, with the Vaseline eyebrows. This is what we've done for generations.
Yeah.
Why did you have to label it the clean girl like aesthetic?
Now.
Yeah.
I think white-legged bootcut jeans, white trousers. I think there was a time where in 2000s it was all about skinny jeans and I hated that. And I love the whole wide leg thing that is coming now. And one thing that you hate, I never understood what is this Y2K fashion and why did it have to come back? Because I feel like the early 2000s was so traumatic for me.
It's very tacky when you look back, right?
Yeah, I never related to it back in the day. I can't relate to it now.
No, I related to it back then because I was like, oh, colorful, cute things.
I could never fit into it. So I was just like,
I think I had stretchier versions. I was just like, okay, so I should have kept it even though I wouldn't have fit into it. But I get their point, but what I've noticed is, and this is something my aunt told me when I was very young, she always said save like your best clothes because it's going to come back in 4 years.
Fashion has always been a cycle.
Yeah, it'll keep coming back. What was your proudest moment in your career?
I think the first time that I was ever recognized was like really proud for me because I feel like I spent so much of my time building my blog, building my social media. Everything happened behind the screen. It was never like, you know, I was meeting my audience in person on everyday basis. I was even self-shooting everything. So it wasn't like I had this whole team earlier, like a photographer or a videographer. I did everything A to Z. And I remember, I think it was my second year of blogging and being on social media. I was, I think, in a little flea market or something. And these two girls came up to me. They ran up to me. It's like, oh my God, you're Ash. I said, you recognize me? And that's when I knew that, you know, the impact is real. I remember the first time as it just happened yesterday. It's very fresh.
Yeah, for me, I feel like it was all throughout the pandemic. So everything was on screen. So I didn't really understand the impact of it. Like for this career, for me, the biggest eye-opening factor was I had kids that came up to me. I think they were like 7. And they wanted like pictures with me because they watched me online. That was one. But what really shocked me was I was in Delhi. And this couple, I think they were in their 60s or 70s. They had a long conversation with me.
That's
and the same day I got recognized at some like, not Chor Bazaar, but something similar there. And this woman went into her car. She came back and she said, you're the Bangladeshi model, right? And I was like, yeah. And I just thought that age group, I never imagined the diverse age group. Because I'm assuming it's a woman around my age. A really sweet one as well was maybe she had a bit to drink, but she gave me a whole speech on how she was so happy to see someone like me on mainstream media because she said, when I grew up, there was none of this. And I've always said that in my interviews too. The only people I could relate to were Black women. Because I think I looked closest to them. And Masaba being one of my biggest role models. I mean, it was amazing that I got to work with her as my first designer.
I love the fact that the younger generation will benefit out of this because we didn't have anyone to look at when we were growing up. I feel like it's from what I can see, it is going to have a big impact.
And I think it already does.
It already does.
Because whenever I go to events where it's a younger generation than ours, they're a lot more accepting and open to different people from different backgrounds and different belief systems. And I feel like it's not molded into a box. The fluidity is what makes me so happy. Because I feel like that is what we ultimately work towards. And I think, like, I grew up as a chubby kid, and I always got bullied for it. Also, the dark skin for me. In a lot of ways, I just feel like everything that I do, I make the younger me proud.
Yeah. That makes you so happy, right? Because
Yeah.
I always, whenever I have a goal that I accomplish and I did it, I always say to myself, I did it for the younger me.
It's the best reward you can give yourself.
Yes. What is the most precious outfit you have in your wardrobe?
I would say it's either the Masaba trackie that changed my life or it's the lehenga that they discovered me through. I think those are the two I cherish a lot. But of course, I really, really cherish a lot of my mom's old saris because I just feel like that craftsmanship is no longer there. And I just feel like it's an heirloom for me to keep for the future.
Yeah. This is again very personal. I remember I was with my grandmother. We had gone to a mall and there was this dress on the mannequin which I loved. I was like, Dadi, I need this now. And we went to the store and they were like, and the salesperson was so rude to me. He's like, yeah, aapke size mein nahi milega. And I just remember I was so emotional. I went home crying and my dadi's tailor had not come that day and she was like, wait. And you know, she went and she got the fabric and she hand stitched that dress for me. And I still have it and I feel
That's
like,
so sweet.
yeah, like, you know, the fact that if you just put in, you know, she put in so much work to make a big girl happy, like, you know, to make me happy that, no, I'll make it in your size. So I feel the outfit that my grandmother hand stitched for me would be my favorite.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Fashion trends are constantly changing and evolving. But what is something that you think is timeless?
For me, it's just as simple as a pair of black wide leg trousers because I can wear it with, like, you know, a crop top or white shirt, style it up, style it down. So for me, I know that, you know, days when I'm having really bad body image days when I'm just like, I don't want to, like, you know, wear this or wear that, I know that my go-to is a black pair of trousers.
Yeah. No, as I said, I feel like trends keep coming back.
Yeah.
I actually fit into one of my mom's jackets from the 80s.
Oh.
And it's like one of those old Burberrys because it's still in cursive, right? And I'm just like, they don't make clothes like this anymore. Because how can it last through like 2 generations? And I've worn it like for years. I think craftsmanship really is something that I admire. And things that last, honestly, is something that I would, you know, advocate for. I just feel like those are the things that are timeless because you can keep wearing
it again and again.
Even with traditional clothes, if you look after them well,
yes.
I feel like I remember like one Eid, my aunt bought me and my cousin the same shalwar kameez or something, and it lasted me for at least 10 years. You know, it was just so loose that I could wear it till even like 3 years ago.
True. Yeah.
And I think if you can look after clothes well, it lasts.
Yeah. If there's one thing you could change about your industry, what would it be and why?
Tokenism, for sure.
Yeah, I think that would be my answer.
I would love to change tokenism. I would also like to get paid better. I just feel like there was a time, I think we're better at it now because there's so many agencies. And I think, brands don't try to exploit you anymore because it's just, they're really scared of you publicly speaking out and stuff like that. But what I do fear is when people see us on screens, they think this life is the easiest because you get so many freebies. And I think my father just always told me in my life, nothing that you get is for free.
Yeah.
Always remember you're paying with something, your time, your energy, something is being taken in return. Nothing is going to be for free.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, you know, with my background in architecture, and it was just so time consuming and whatnot. And I think maybe in a way I thought this was an easier lifestyle, and it is not.
A lot of effort goes down.
Exactly. Because I mean, when you're out in public, people know you. And it's not only that. It's just that I think people have created an image of you through your posts. Or maybe you don't even realize what you've done. But there are assumptions already made for you, about you. And that's a little scary, I think, to be in the public eye, because not everyone is kind, like the trolls on the internet.
Exactly.
I think with the younger generation, and I was reading this research where I think that it was like a survey, would you rather be rich or famous? And it was like famous, because people were like already making a higher income, right? So that wasn't something that they wanted, but the fame is harder to get now because of, like it's such a saturated like situation, because everyone has access to the internet and, all of those things. So I feel like that is something I would like to change. I think this false notion of everything being so happy-go-lucky. I think it's important to say that people have bad days. Everyone's human.
Exactly.
It does take a toll on your mental health. And I think it's so important to look after that.
Yeah, people think it's so easy. And I hate how they look down upon it. Oh, she's an influencer and we have so many influencers nowadays. And I'm like, no, it takes a lot of work, to do what you do behind the scene, especially with me, because
self-shooting.
It's self-shooting. Also for me, I open up past wounds. I make a lot of skits when it comes to, how I was bullied or the things that were said to me when I went shopping. And it's like, I sort of have to take myself back emotionally there, and I make skits around it. And, my audience, I can relate to that. Like, this happened with me.
But it's triggering too.
It is triggering too. So it's like, I open up past wounds, not for, someone to just tell me, oh, she's just an influencer. It's like, no, we do put on a lot of work behind it.
I think no one realizes that, because the product is like, oh, a nice picture or a nice video. But I feel like when you're doing self-shooting, it's the most hectic thing ever. You're doing your hair, you're doing your makeup.
I'm doing the shooting, I'm doing the editing, and, doing the voiceovers and the color grading, and then publishing it in a way that, I know I wanted to have an impact. I wanted to get people to look at it, respond to it. So there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. Yeah.
What is the one thing you wish you could do but are afraid to?
YouTube.
Same.
I feel I am so... I keep telling, this is going to be the year. I got a vlogging camera. I got a tripod. And I was like, now what do I talk about? It's like, so I feel like I have a fear towards that, which I know that I will conquer and hopefully start my YouTube channel.
I say that to myself every year too. But I feel like, what my fear is? I don't know how people do it. They just take the camera and like do whatever. I feel like I have too much like OCD with like the lines. I need the frame to be.
I overthink a lot. A lot. What will I talk now? How will it come across? What is going to be the setting? And I'm like,
But more than that, I'm like, I cannot commit to so many videos in a week or whatever that they do.
I feel there are so many different social media platforms now. Like, okay, you have to upload stories as well. You want to have like static posts, and you want to do reels, and you want to YouTube and YouTube shorts. I'm like, thank God TikTok got banned. I'm like,
I have TikTok.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But when I'm in India, I let it go. I take a break because I feel like my content for TikTok, I mean, sometimes I'm lazy. I just reuse what I've done for reels. But for TikTok, I realize I'm more animated because that's what that audience requires.
Yeah, and plus you have different audience that wants different things from these.
Yeah, because they're like, I follow you on this for this. Yeah, that's a thing. I feel like everything is so fast now. Like that's why, like, even when it comes to like films and series, they have to release a whole season together because you don't have a choice. It's no longer, we were growing up and watching weekly things, right?
Yeah.
That's no longer an option because the brain is just too used to being like binging on things.
Yeah, so I come from a time where I was writing articles on the blog, and now I have to, and it was such a difference for me because now I had to take nice pictures, and then it was like create videos, but now create short videos, and I'm just like, it keeps getting faster and faster.
Unless you have like a full-on team, I don't know how you do all of that.
It's work. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, I like write letters to my younger self every now and then.
That's so sweet.
Because I just feel like it's just so much unhealed trauma. And I think it comes out sometimes even, like I said, I don't really pay attention to the trolls and stuff. But somehow or the other, something there will strike a chord. And you're just like, oh God. But I think the advice I would like to tell the younger self, anyone actually, not just myself, is everything eventually works out.
I would say that too. It all works out in the end and you don't have to change. I worried a lot when I was younger of how I needed to change. Change my body, change the way I look, change the way I dress, just to fit into these molds that people had created. And I struggle a lot with that. So I would just like to go back in time and tell my younger self, you don't need to change for anyone and you are amazing as you are.
Yeah. That's a good one, I think. Yeah, this was a lot of fun.
It was. And I'm sure we're going to catch up again and talk more about this.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah, it'll be fun.